Live and Live. Buy original, be original. SON.
Nigeria remains a viable investment destination in Africa. Director General, Standards Organization of Nigeria, Osita Bolma Esquire, tells Chinese investors as the nation adopts ISO standards on biotechnology for national development. Plus, Standards Organization of Nigeria restates commitment to tackling the menace of substandard products through standardization. A warm welcome to our program, Standard and You. It's always our pleasure to bring the program to you on Mondays at this time on Africa's largest television network, the NTA. I am Ifoma Okonkwo. I'll be back after this message.
Why you dey buy fake product, make you dey careful, no go damage your life. You've got one life to live.
Buy original.
You should know where to go. The SON. Don't touch, don't touch.
It's fake.
Don't touch, don't touch.
It's bad.
Don't touch, don't touch.
It hurts.
Don't touch, don't touch.
It destroys.
Don't touch, don't touch.
It kills.
You should know where to go. The SON.
Standards Organization of Nigeria. Improving lives through standards.
Welcome back. The Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Osita Bolma Esquire, has challenged Chinese investors to take advantage of Nigeria's huge market and investment opportunities. The SON boss who gave this advice at the Nigeria Trade and Investment Forum in Shanghai, China, assured prospective and existing investors of the agency's support in that regard.
The Director General's call for strategic investment in key sectors of the Nigerian economy is against the backdrop of the present administration's efforts at diversifying the economy for greater prosperity. The visit, which is part of the first China International Import Expo, provided the DG and members of the delegation the opportunity to update the Chinese investors with what the SON is doing in line with government's initiative on the ease of doing business to support investors in the country. Apart from providing industries with requisite standards, processes and procedures, the SON has supported both human and institutional capacity development, products and management systems certification. Aboloma told the gathering that SON is fast developing what he described as a world-class metrology institute and testing machines to help investors in the country. SON's chief executive stressed the agency's resolve to deal with substandard products and commitment mandatory certification of domestic goods and exports. He disclosed that the Standards Organization of Nigeria has provided exemptions for the importation of raw materials and machinery under its offshore certification scheme, SUNCAP. The delegation was led by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Sunday Edet Akpan. In another development, the Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Osita Aboloma Esquire, has appealed to Nigerians to take greater interest in their well-being and report anyone found dealing on the unwholesome, substandard or life-endangering products in the country. The Director General gave this advice against the backdrop of a reported case of a food vendor who was using pesticide for the preservation of a crop. The DG's statement posited that it is important for consumers to know that they are critical to effective standards implementation and enforcement in Nigeria. He disclosed that there are relevant industrial standards and codes of practice for beans along the value chain to take care of issues concerning the proper preservation of the crop from planting to the table. He enumerated the standards of codes and practice to include Standard for Dry Beans, NIS 1030-2018. Code of Good Practice, Harvesting of Dry Beans, NCP 067-2018. Code of Practice for Packaging of Dry Beans, NCP 064-2018. Code of Practice, Storage and Transportation of Dry Beans, NCP 066-2018. These standards and codes of practices have been approved for use by the Standards Council. Aboloma stressed that arrangements are ongoing among the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, regulatory agencies, and the Standards Organization of Nigeria for a nationwide advocacy for farmers, processors, and extension workers in the states and local governments on the standards and codes of practice for beans and other grains.
Two international organizations for standardization, ISO standards on biotechnology and biobanking, are in the process of being adopted in Nigeria. Director General of the SON gave this indication at the National Mirror Technical Committee meeting in biotechnology held in Abuja.
The SON boss was represented at the meeting by a director in the DG's office, Barrister Richard Agu. The two standards are biotechnology and biobanking. The Director General explained that as an evolving technology with different applications, biotechnology is an enabling technology that either on its own or in collaboration with associated technologies provide the means to generate giant strides in the performance and capabilities of various sectors. These include medicine, healthcare, primary production, agro-food industrial production, energy and environment. The Chief Executive of SON says the ISO 20387-2018 is on biobanking. Aboloma advised the committee to deliberate on the two standards and also take the initiative to take responsibility by mirroring Nigeria's position in the ISO TC 276 Select New Work Item project of relevance to the nation. He stated further that outputs from Nigeria's participation in the activities of ISO TC 276 will facilitate technological development, support national and international competitiveness, and contribute to the predictability of the regulatory environment. This is in addition to supporting exchange of goods and services through the elimination of technical barriers.
We will continue to support local manufacturers of product and stop at nothing to check the distribution of substandard goods in Nigeria. Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Osita Boluma, gave this assurance at the agency's day at the Lagos International Trade Fair in Lagos. Olimoto Sifo, who was there for Standard and New, reports that the DG was represented at the event by a director of the agency, Kabir Mohammed.
It's the largest trade exhibition in Africa, the 32nd organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The event offers a unique platform for manufacturers to showcase their products and services to a large number of consumers from various parts of the country as well as foreign consumers. Every year, exhibitors of goods converge on selected locations like the Tafawa Balewa Square to present their goods to the public. During such exercise, responsive agency like the Standards Organization of Nigeria ensures standards of goods sold. Director General's representative emphasized the benefits of standards to the nation's economic growth. He told guests at the agency's day at the fair that the SON is doing a lot to initiate measures to curb the activities of those who import substandard products into Nigeria.
The strategic significance of standardization includes, among others, participating companies have more to say in the adoption of a national standard as well as an international standard. In this case, the company gains a competitive edge because it will not need to make extensive modifications in standardization. Potential competitive advantage through adherence to standards, and it gives advantage of having standards that are applicable in global markets. Standardization and connecting business. One role of standardization that cannot be neglected is the benefit in business activities, among which are cheaper and reduced production cost. Cost reduction is achieved through industry consensus. This is the process of standardized development, where an entire industry agrees to standardize the parts, materials, or production equipment used throughout the industry. It creates value for business.
Some exhibitors of goods bet their minds on SON support in their businesses.
SON signifies standard. Now, a product that is carrying SON cap shows that it is being regulated by the right agency. SON cap being on your product shows that, one, you are obeying the law. Two, your product is regulated, is of standard. So somehow, it gives a boost to your brand.
We are glad working with them because we also have to be sure of what we're importing. You understand? It's not all about making profit, it's all about satisfying the consumers to make sure that we give them what they need and what will last from them. We are not a company that deal with unwanted goods in Nigeria. That's why we're working. All our containers and whatever we are bringing in has SON certificate to make sure that it's all tested before we distribute it to our consumers.
They are helping us to build the market, to stabilize the market, to avoid limitations on all products.
I'm exhibiting ICT products, wireless power banks, mobile accessories. We run an online store, and we are working according to standard organization. The cost is credibility of business and your integrity. It shouldn't be all about profit. It's about customer satisfaction.
Consumers also spoke to Standard and You.
Now, I think you can go to the market and you pick a product and you are sure that you're almost sure that it's 100% good. You know, I think there's an improvement over what we used to have years back. So I think we'll commend the SON for a good job they've been doing, and I will want them to keep improving because the reward for hard work is more work.
I'm impressed with the fact that Nigerians, there are a lot of products produced in the country that are on display. Is a sign that there's an improvement.
Quality-wise, for the things I bought, I think they are okay. They are okay. They are here with the best quality you can think of.
It is our mandate, and we'll continue to pursue that mandate to the best of our ability. Well, our officers have already been going around to check and ensure that all these products that have been brought into the market are products that have actually been standardized. Those that are imported, whether they pass through the regulatory tests, the ones that are manufactured within the country, to ensure that also they pass through our MANCAP certification process.
The theme of this year's fair was connecting businesses, creating value. President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry acknowledged SON's giant strides in the fight against fake products, adding that SON has become more proactive in its quest to ensuring consumer satisfaction, but wants Nigerians to support the agency to fight the menace of substandard products in the country.
What they are doing as an agency of the government that is mandated to control standard, they are doing very well. I can see that they have here a lot of bulletins on what they do. I can also see copies of established standards that they have there, and they had also promised that they are going to have those standards uploaded so that soft copy will be available. It will have wider reach. A lot of people would have committed themselves to a business before they realize that there is a standard, and that's why we need to continue to galvanize information to let people know what the standard organization is there for and to also ensure compliance.
The Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, brings a new lease of life to Nigeria SMEs. SON has put a greater premium on developing standards to improve made-in-Nigeria products for export. We have developed more standards for products like sesame, cocoa, gari, and more, courtesy of our accredited state-of-the-art laboratories. In keeping with the federal government's ease of doing business, SON has simplified its processes and turned around time for SUNCAP, MANCAP, and other certification processes. SON has intensified market market surveillance, raids, and seizures to reduce substandard products in circulation, and offenders shall be prosecuted. Join SON in ridding our nation of substandard products. If you see something, say something. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving lives through standards.
You're still watching Standard and You, and thanks for being a part of the program. Youths have been urged to embrace standardization and resist the temptation of patronizing sellers of substandard products under any guise. Kogi State Coordinator of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Olalekan Omoni, gave this advice at a capacity building forum organized for core members in Kogi State. While speaking on the benefits of standardization to national development, the state coordinator urged the core members to embrace standards when they are young to help them become quality-conscious adults. This sensitization is coming few weeks after a similar exercise was held between the SON Kogi State Office and students in the state. You're still watching Standard and You, powered by the Standards Organization of Nigeria. Time now to treat your messages. Alimot Osifo is our guide. Over to you, Alimot.
You're on to the feedback segment of the program. I am Halimot Osifo. How do you know an original product? How do you identify a counterfeit product? These questions often pop up on the minds of many consumers when we talk about product quality and safety. I'm glad to tell you that I'll be sharing some signs that can help you identify an original item from a counterfeit. When we say original, we mean authentic, genuine, good quality. However, counterfeit products are fake or unauthorized replica of the real products. They are often made and sold with the deliberate purpose of tricking consumers into thinking that the fake product is, in fact, genuine. Counterfeiters take pains to make their products look as much like the genuine products as possible. But there would always be a difference if you pay attention to every detail. Flimsy packaging. If the item is shabbily packed, doesn't fit properly, uses substandard material, or no packaging at all, take it as a sign of counterfeiting. Grammatical and spelling mistakes. Counterfeit products can be easily identified through wrong spelling, such as an extra or missing letter, resulting from lack of education or rushed workmanship. So read carefully. Flawed fonts and logos. If you are observant and know the original logos well, you can catch the smallest variation and detect fake logos. No contact details. If the manufacturer's physical address, phone number, or contact details are not listed on the products or package, it should be a cause for concern, as you have no means of contacting the company for grievance redressal. It's better to avoid such products. Missing accessories. Make sure that all supplementary parts that have been mentioned on the package are present in the box. Otherwise, get back to the retailer immediately. Certification marks. Ensure the products carry the appropriate certification marks from regulatory bodies such as the SON. These signs are endless, but in a nutshell, inspect the package, text, labels to avoid any item that seems suspicious. Say no to counterfeit products that are fake and unsafe for use. Now we'll take a look at some of the messages we received last week. Donald Ugona from Enugu says, please help us look into the quality of stationery sold here. It doesn't last at all. All right, we'll take note of that. We have standards for this product, so we'll take notes. Mike from Lagos says, I think Sun should pay close attention to molders of electric poles. Very important. It's a life danger product and we have standards for it, so we'll do everything we can to ensure that manufacturers comply with the available standards. Andy Bwala from Bono says, Son, you are trying, but please help monitor products sold in Maiduguri markets. All right, Andy, we'll take note of that. Anonymous messenger says, what will government do to those who import substandard goods into Nigeria? It's an offense, and by virtue of the Sun Act number 14, 2015, it is punishable. And that's too much we can take on the feedback segment of the program. You can be a part of the program by calling us or sending in your messages to the number 0705-972-4455. Follow us on Facebook at Standard and You, Instagram and Twitter at Standard and You _. You can also send a mail to the address to standardandyou@gmail.com. Remember, we have videos online at youtube.com/standardandyou. From the entire production crew, good evening.